So today we're going to talk about why we are here on the Bitcoin chart today and why this is a shakeout that most likely will lead us to that most anticipated bull market or altcoin season in 2025, which basically is shown in this others against Bitcoin chart that you've probably seen a lot, which basically shows us when we are in a true bull mania phase of the cycle or not. As you can see here today, the market is still bleeding, especially now the Bitcoin is at 84,000. But we're seeing slowly altcoins stopped bleeding that much compared to Bitcoin, and as well ETH, which as we can see right now, ETH is basically that indicator or what the market likes to see when it comes to altcoins. If Ethereum is going down a lot, basically most of them follow, and we can see now we're in this range doing exactly what we did before, and it's almost exactly similar if we look at how the charts looks like here on ETH. And remember that we need to watch for ETH, because if it goes up, we go up. If it goes down, we go down, as you can see clearly here today. And as you can imagine, once it's gonna break above 4K, this is where we're gonna see the actual bulls phase or the mania phase of the altcoin season. So what we notice here as well with ETH is that we had this capitulation candle with this wick as well, the second week, and then we had two green candles on weekly, the same like we have now. 1 week, second week was a capitulation with a wick, then two green weekly candles, then a sell-off. So that's what we're noticing here. We basically are gonna range now with another week of sideways or a continuation from ETH, and then we start to trend higher. That's what we're seeing here. But I do think we're gonna see this last less and less, because basically this is being triggered by retail mainly selling and not larger whales. As we know, ETH still has those large inflows from ETFs. And it's being reported that even in the stock market, that the retail liquidations are mainly what's happening now. Retail are getting shaken out, and this is why also this is our final shakeout, exactly like what happened back in the days in 2021. And we're seeing also in the stock market that it is mainly, or the sell-off is mainly driven by retail and zero institutions selling right now. And it's the same thing happening with the ETFs as well. We did see some ETF sell-offs happen on ETH and on Bitcoin, but basically this is the clients that are selling some of their holdings, as well as when it comes to the stock market as well, selling off. And as I shown you here in this tweet, this is basically meant, or the sell-off basically was due to retail, and especially on larger stocks like Amazon, Meta, and Google, and many others basically. And this ripple effect came into the crypto space. We could say that it's mainly driven by retail as well, especially ETH and Bitcoin. But when it comes to altcoins, we're seeing them slowly kind of consolidating, just waiting for any sign of hope or sign of euphoria back in the market to start rallying again. So most of them are basically bottomed. I do think now most of the altcoins are bottomed, but it just comes down to ETH that we really need to see start to pick up again. So that's why we really need to keep an eye on it, and that's why most of my recent videos I've been talking about ETH, because we actually see now what's causing all this drama right now in the market. And it's basically ETH. When ETH goes down, as everything is priced against it, basically they start to go down. So we can actually look at the chart and know when this blood is done, or when this bloodbath is over, and is this an actual dip we want to be really heavily loading into. And this is what it looks like so far. Right, last time we had this sell-off here, it was a panic selling, retail selling, before we started seeing a rally. Again, now we're seeing retail selling, retail freaking out, while institutions are buying before the actual rally. One thing as well, if you're wondering why today we're seeing a sell-off, and basically we're seeing Trump sticking with his tariffs and will impose 25% tariffs on imports from Europe, as well as we've seen some tariffs on copper imports, and this could cause as well some market downturn, or cause the market basically to freak out as well. So this is basically the today's news of what's causing the market to dump. But to me, when it comes to crypto and altcoins and what we're looking at here, it's basically ETH, and it comes down to ETH and what ETH is doing. So as you can see, we're still in this range, and I did mention we're going to stay in this range for a while. So basically this is accumulation. historically these kind of levels on ETH meant this is a very good major buy opportunity on most of the altcoins right now that survived basically and that stay around and that we know that are here and they're gonna start to come back. And that's basically what historically this meant whenever ETH goes down here. As well, Bitcoin, whenever Bitcoin starts to drop, we start to see people calling for lower prices and lower prices just only for it to start to move back higher. Actually, what we've seen here is before we seen this dump on Bitcoin here, this was a 20% or 23% drop here, and this is basically what we're seeing today Bitcoin do. And if you're new here, or if you just joined in right after Bitcoin hit 100k, you probably haven't seen that before. But if you were here since 2024 or 2023, you've seen this. Or if you were in 2021, you probably are just chillaxed right now. You don't care, you know these things happen all the time. But if you look at it now, today is 23%. Probably this is the bottom on Bitcoin, and we're gonna recover back up as usual. Or what people usually go through is whenever Bitcoin drops, they start calling for lower prices. Whenever it goes up, they start calling for higher prices. We've seen this all over this summer here, or since basically the top on March till October. Whenever we see Bitcoin going lower, people call for the end of the market. Whenever Bitcoin goes higher, people call for the new cycle top or calling for new all-time highs. So basically this is what we've seen, or this being the theme of this cycle since 2023. Whenever Bitcoin starts to pull back, we start to see those people calling for lower prices, which never happened, and basically those get a front run. So whenever, if you remember what happened here with Germany selling, when Bitcoin started dropping below 50k, a lot of people started to call for Bitcoin to go back to 40k, and then that level got front run. It never came back down, because also this was the time when the Bitcoin ETF got approved, and everybody was calling that we're going to retrace the Bitcoin approval or the Bitcoin ETF approval, as much as the January pump and the Trump pump, or let's say people are calling for that to be retraced back, which I do think is going to get front run again. And we had this, if you remember back in the time in 2021, a lot of people were calling for the CME gap fill, which was around here, around the 21k Bitcoin. When Bitcoin was at 25k and started breaking down, people were calling for the CME gap fill, which is still here around 21k, never got filled. And funny enough, today we do have another CME gap, which is around 70k for Bitcoin, and people are calling for that again to get filled. So it might just get front run again, which has been happening all the time, or which has been happening this far since 2023, and then people are still behaving the same way, which means they're always calling for lower when things get red. Whenever we go up, things they start going for higher. But I do think what we really need to focus on is ETH. For us here, Bitcoin does not matter. Bitcoin could do whatever from here, and the market will not follow unless we see some major rally from Bitcoin. But what we really need to see is a major rally from ETH. That's what's gonna get altcoins to really pump hard. And also, whenever ETH, as I said, is in this box here, is the best time to be buying right now. And as well, it was the best time here just in September, boring summer and all that. We've seen that major recovery. We've seen a lot of coins pump around here as well, around here and around here. Now when it comes to how long this will take, I do think it's gonna take less, because today we're seeing the stock market dropping. We're seeing a lot of fear and uncertainty, especially with the tariffs, Trump tariffs. This could cause the Feds to actually cut rates. A lot of people are talking about this and talking about that the stocks actually selling off could cause the Feds to change their stand on cutting rates, which means if they start doing that, or if they cut earlier, or if they announce that they are going to cut earlier than the market expects, the market will front run as well the news. As you know, that the market always buys the rumor and sell the news. So if there is any slight rumor of the Fed cutting rates, we're going to see this pretty much play out on the charts. But as they say, show me the charts and I will tell you the news. So that's why I'm just focused on ETH here. So I don't need to know what the news is going to be in the future. I just know that this is probably most likely going up higher, because it hasn't seen a major rally so far. And as I've shown you before on previous video, we're still on this uptrend here on ETH that's got tagged now and still holding us. And the reason why I'm still bullish on it, and I do think it's gonna go up to previous all-time high and even higher, is because we compared it to XRP, and XRP was even looking weaker back in time before it made that major rally. And if we compare the same uptrend here on ETH to XRP, and you will see how the angle and the difference in strength on both. And you can see that the XRP even traded sideways longer than ETH, or traded as long as ETH sideways, but not only that, but it also traded at a much lower angle, or much weaker uptrend than the one that ETH is at right now. So at any moment we can see ETH pulling an XRP like move. It could be any type of news, as I said. It could be the rate cuts, it could be some major news or something that's gonna cause this to rally. As I say, show me the chart and I'll tell you the news. And what we know is now we're back here on ETH, and we've seen this play out before, where ETH accumulates here and then starts to rally higher. And I do think the next rally up is gonna be the one that breaks 4K, and we see an all-time high, and this will lead to a major altcoin season, especially ETH memes, as I keep saying, and those are going to be the major leaders. And also we're going to see major altcoin hype and season. As much as the drama we see today and the pain, this could quickly switch into euphoria and FOMO, and everybody buying up everything they can. And as much as they are disregarding those coins right now, or not getting into them, or feeling fear in regards to those coins, they're gonna feel FOMO again. So if we look at the fear and greed, this is basically what we really need to as well keep in mind to know what the market is like and what the market is doing. You can see the market is in complete fear. Today's fear is as comparable as to the one we had when Germany was selling at 50k Bitcoin, and the one in September, August 2023, which basically was historically the best time in 2023 to buy. This was basically Pepe below $300 million, Bonk below 100 million, many altcoins that you see in the billions of dollars today, that if you seen back in time, you would think those are done with. If you got into them at those prices back in time, at the extreme greed level, they were in the billions of dollars. So we might just see the same thing play out again. This is a second chance, let's say, or a last chance, or don't get shaken out. Basically, this is what this is telling us. When others are fearful, we must be greedy. So that's what I'm looking at here. That's what I'm seeing. The market is like this far, but I'm just keeping it simple. I'm just looking at ETH. So ETH goes up, everything goes up. So we just keep an eye on that. That's basically what I'm looking at. And you can see here today, if ETH is not doing well, the market is not doing well. And funny enough, actually, it's holding pretty strong compared to what Bitcoin is doing, because Bitcoin is at 84k. So a lot of people were expecting Bitcoin to actually, or ETH to go lower if Bitcoin breaks below its previous range. But we're not seeing actually a major sell-off. But granted, we've seen already a sell-off happen on ETH. But what's happening is that the Bitcoin dominance is not increasing that much today. So that's what's happening. That's what's up. It's that ETH and altcoins are already sold off. They already had their sell-off. They already got shook. You can see that the Bitcoin dominance is actually not moving much. It was going down previous day. It's a red day on the Bitcoin dominance, which basically means people are not actually selling altcoins to buy Bitcoin. So this usually leads to an altcoin season once Bitcoin pulls back up, because it means people they don't care anymore at selling their altcoins anymore to buy Bitcoin or fly to safety or anything like that. They're just looking at the market now. So as soon as the market regains any sort of confidence again, we're gonna see probably Bitcoin dominance starting to go down, which also is a signal of an altcoin season. We're seeing it clearly here today, not spiking. So usually when we see drops in the bear market and Bitcoin drops sharply like that, we see the Bitcoin dominance sharply increases, which basically just means that people are selling altcoins to buy Bitcoin. So it's not happening today. We're not seeing that. You can see here is the 2022, or the beginning of 2022, which basically is the bear market confirmed in November. Let's say here the Bitcoin dominance started to go up, meaning that people are selling off their Bitcoin or selling off their altcoins to buy Bitcoin without looking at altcoins at all, because the fear, or basically the risk, the market was not willing to take any big risks, let's say. But today the market, it does, and pretty much looking at Bitcoin dropping and Bitcoin dominance dropping as well, telling me that altcoins are pretty much bottomed, and this is just a shakeout to get the last spaghetti hands and the last JITs out before the rally, before the major rally. This is basically what it's looking like today. And as I said before we end this video, ETH is what we really need to look at, and it's still looking good today. Some would say is that ETH is going to refill this wick here before it starts to rally higher. And basically why this happens is that some people, or basically those are algorithms or bots or market makers, they sometimes have those orders layered lower here. So when we have sharp drops like we had back in this day here, which was the 3rd of February when ETH dropped sharply and then recovered faster, this means that a lot of people had orders around this level, and especially bot trading algorithms and all those that get into those dips very quickly and they start selling here. So that's what causes usually the wick to get filled. So these are not really actually people bearish or nothing like that. Those are just algorithms that are taking profits from the wicks. Usually this is something that day traders know about, but most people will not understand why this is happening and will see this as bearish, but it's not. It's just basically algorithms and bots taking profits from the wicks. That's why usually wicks get filled, especially to the downside. Whenever there is a wick to the downside, they get filled because it's basically those bots that had orders and front run everybody here. They are selling out here for quick profits, and whenever we see those wicks, that means just that those orders are getting filled very fast and push the price higher, and those bots starts to get out again. So pretty much it's like a sniper when it comes to altcoins or meme coins. Basically is those people are sniping these wicks and then they have to get filled, which just to tell you that these are not major sell-offs, or basically just those range traders taking profits back to the range low, where we see again this recovery, which basically what we've seen here as well. If we remove this box, we've seen the same thing happen, and it's always happens, but mostly out to the downside. To the upside, it's not much, doesn't happen that much, and usually it leaves people waiting for it to get filled, but it never happens. Let's say in a bull market top or something like that, like here, it doesn't get filled because it's a different dynamic. When it's a wick to the downside, usually it's a sniper algorithm that snipes the wicks and fill them back in by just selling the quick increase. But that's what happened here as well. So we had the wick, price went up, went back in because all the wick buyers started selling, and then accumulation again, people start to buy back in before we see this increase. So pretty much this is what we're gonna see this far, and this means basically in simple terms, alt are gonna recover as soon as ETH is gonna recover, and we're gonna finally see another recovery, which basically leads to pumps. But this time is bigger than previous times because finally we have a decent strong chance at actually breaking above this level here, which is the 4,000 level on ETH. And especially if we see some major changes in the macroeconomy and we see actually the Fed's cutting rates, this would be a major catalyst, and things can change very fast, and coins that are down now a lot can recover in weeks or in a week or two, and we see them going much higher. So keep that always in mind when you see this. The most important to me is that I do think the altcoin season is still ahead of us. It's still going to happen. There is no way ETH did not make a new all-time high in this bull market. It just does not make sense while blockchains and while BlackRock and ETFs are buying, while also BlackRock is building on top of the ETH chain, and a lot of large institutions are using it. There is no way we're not seeing this happen. Anyways, guys, hope this was helpful. Don't get shaken out. We're pretty much seeing the last pain here playing out before our eyes. We're seeing the last shakeout basically before actually seeing the recovery. So we must actually go through our recovery phase right now, especially when it comes to ETH. We're gonna see maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks of some sideways ranges, maybe less pain, but as soon as we recover, that's gonna be it. And one last thing as well, as I remembered right now, major level to break above is 2,800. As you can see, this is still a place where ETH gets rejected and couldn't break above it, and this was exactly the point where ETH actually retraced back. So keep that in mind. In the future, when you see ETH above 2,800 and closing daily candles above it, that's a very good sign. This is what you basically are looking for. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching today's video till the end, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.